It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
What is up, heroes of Dominion? My name is Charlie. This is Hero Wars Central, and in today's video, I want to talk about the mobile hero of the month, Sebastian, and how he differs from the Facebook version. Stick around. This is a sponsored video, and today's sponsor is the Order Guild family. And the Order Guild family is a 3-guild family of guilds on server 179 in the Russian region. The Order is looking for 10 members, 10 or so members, to join their quest to become the youngest gold banner winning guild. Mostly English speaking, but they have folks from all over the world. They use a translation bot. They have some minimums that they like to have for their champion slots. This isn't necessarily minimums to join the guild. As long as you are active every day, they will consider accepting you. But you can take a look here and see that Guild 1 requires 1.2 million Grand Arena power. Guild 2 requires 900,000 Grand Arena power, and Guild 3 requires 650,000 Grand Arena power. Again, these are requirements to be a champion in the cross server and Guild Wars fights, not to join the guild. If you are interested in joining a new guild, a competitive guild, a highly competitive guild, please reach out to one of the individuals listed in the pictures. You can see that you've got Ink Master and Phoenix OA on Discord. Reach out to them via Discord. And if you have trouble reaching them on Discord, please just poke me on Discord, and I will get you in touch with the correct individuals. If you're interested in sponsoring a video, if your guild is interested in sponsoring a video, also just let me know. It's a lot of fun to do. I think it'd be pretty beneficial for anybody's guild. Now, on to the point of the video. The reason why I'm doing this is because there's a big debate going on right now in the two sides of Hero Wars, Herowarsmobile and Hero Wars on Facebook, on which version of Sebastian is better. And I don't know if it's actually that big of a debate, but it is interesting to hear both sides' point of view. And so I thought I would do this video, one, because like I mentioned, Sebastian is the hero of the month on mobile, and also to kind of discuss the growing divide between the web and Facebook versions of the game with the Hero Wars mobile versions of the game. So we'll talk about the stats and everything first, the skills, and then we'll talk about kind of the divide overall. So for the most part, Sebastian is the same on both Facebook and on mobile when it comes down to his stats, skins, glyphs, all of that. Of course, there is a 10-level difference. Facebook Sebastian will cap out at 130, and his glyphs will get to level 50. All of his skills will be 10 points higher, and Hero Wars mobile version of Sebastian will cap out at level 120. And yeah, there's a small difference in the stats there. It's negligible on a lot of support heroes. It really shines on some of the tanks and damage dealers, but in the case of Sebastian, it's not a ton. So I'm not going to talk about him here. I do want to go through and talk about each of the 4 skills, and in turn talk about their Facebook counterparts and discuss why one is better than the other. So first of all, we have Ballad of Tenacity. This is the Hero Wars mobile Sebastian's ultimate ability. This states that Sebastian conjures a shield before his team, protecting allies from stun and curse effects. The shield loses health when the team takes damage. Now, we all know what a stun is, and a lot of heroes in the game offer stuns. Kark does a knockup that stuns. You have Arachne that does stuns. A lot of stuns are out there, but not many curses. And the big curse effect that Sebastian will protect your team from is Jorgen's curse. I believe that there are 1 or 2 other curses in the game. Really not important for the sake of this. Sebastian doesn't really counter curses that you don't use Sebastian on mobile to counter curses. I mean, you can, and it's definitely helpful, but that's not the big reason why you use Sebastian on mobile. Contrast that with the Facebook version of the ability, the Ode to Serenity on Facebook. Not only is it named different, but it's significantly different as well. Removes all debuffs from the allied team and conjures a shield that prevents debuffs from being applied for 15 seconds. So let's flash back to the other one, and you can see that there is a health tied to the shield. While the shield is up on the mobile version, it will block stun and curse effects while the shield is up. Okay, and then eventually it will take damage over time and dissipate. The Ode to Serenity on Facebook doesn't have a damage quotient to it. It has a quantity. So you can see that the shield will prevent debuffs from being applied 15 times. Now, I want you to notice two things. First of all, this doesn't have a health thing touching it. So if your enemy does a big area of effect attack and drops the mobile shield immediately, it's no longer protecting your team from curses. However, the Facebook one not having a damage part to it, basically you have to get through 15 separate debuffs before your debuffs will start to apply. And if your team is built around cursing the enemy or stunning the enemy or whatever, then you're going to have a much harder time with the Facebook version of this ultimate than you are the mobile version. So superior. And in my opinion, this elevates Sebastian beyond just adding him to teams for the critical hit physical attack component that we'll talk about in the next couple of skills. And I'll touch on that here in a little bit. Back to mobile, we have Hunter's Tune. That's Sebastian's green ability. This will increase allies' critical hit chance for 5 seconds. This does not apply to heroes who don't have the stat. Currently on mobile, there's a handful of critical hit heroes that have critical hit as a stat. Critical hit can be given to other heroes by artifacts and by Jet's abilities. All right, the support hero Jet. And those heroes that have critical hit stat will gain an additional critical hit bonus based on Sebastian's critical attack. And you can see that here at level 8, I haven't leveled this Sebastian up much. It's an extra 855 critical hit stat. Not too shabby, not too shabby at all. The counterpart on Facebook increases the critical hit chance for all allies that have the stat for 5 seconds. Basically the same skill. The modifier is excuse me, it's a little lower on the Facebook version. It's 20% physical attack, whereas on the Facebook version it's 0.1% physical attack, so it's a lot lower, but it does have a percentage gain instead of a flat crit rating. Okay, does that make sense? The mobile version adds critical hit stat, the 855.2 critical hit, whereas the Facebook version applies 26.7% critical hit. So whatever 26.7% critical hit is, and remember, the critical hit formula is based on your enemy's main stat. This adds a flat 26.7% to that already existing stat. All right, so the 855 will vary on a percentage based on the enemy's main stat, whereas again the Facebook versions will add a flat percentage no matter what the enemy's main stat is. All right, so keep that in mind. Again, I feel like the Facebook version is slightly better in this regard, just slightly better, slightly better. The next ability that I want to talk about is Sebastian's Violet ability. And the reason why I'm jumping to the Violet ability is because it is the blue ability on Facebook. It's kind of weird in that regard. So we'll talk about Curse Song in a second because I feel like it's the most important ability for Herowarsmobile Sebastian. So Herowarsmobile Sebastian's Violet ability is Rhythm of War, and it states that Sebastian and his allies deal extra pure damage on critical hits. Now, it's very important, the wording here. Sebastian and his allies deal extra pure damage on critical hits. So if any of your allies do a critical hit at any time, then Sebastian will cause that hero to do additional pure damage on top of their critical hit. Now, if you compare that with the Facebook version's blue ability, which is basically the same ability, it's a little lower, but it's pretty similar. The blue ability will deal pure damage on critical hits, but it has to be allies that are affected by Battle Song. And just as a reminder, that green ability, that Battle Song, that is the ability that will increase the critical hit chance for all allies that have critical hit. Okay, so they have to have critical hit, they have to have Battle Song active, and then they have to, when they critical hit, whenever they have Battle Song active, that's when they do the pure damage. Where on the mobile version, it's any crits at any time. So there is some timing overlap there that could be an issue. I think the mobile version definitely gets the point, gets the win for this skill. And then finally, let's talk about Curse Song. And this is the blue ability on mobile, but the different ability on Facebook is the Violet ability, and that's kind of why I'm jumping around. So Curse Song states, at the start of the battle, Sebastian curses the nearest enemy, which is usually the tank, decreasing their armor. The curse is lifted on Sebastian's death. So first and foremost, this is a curse, so Sebastian on mobile will protect your team against enemy Sebastians on mobile. Kind of funny there. But this is a straight armor reduction, and it acts a lot like armor penetration in that regard, except that it does not require you to fire off an ultimate. No artifact weapons need to be here. It's just a flat debuff to armor on that main tank. Now, the downside is once you defeat that tank, instead of getting an additional curse song, it doesn't fire off again. Whereas if you were using a hero that had armor penetration as an artifact weapon, then every time they use that ultimate, it would decrease the armor of the enemy team, depending on whoever they hit, whoever your allies hit. So it's kind of a downside, kind of an upside. It's actually a pretty strong ability, and like I mentioned earlier, it's probably the ability that a lot of mobile players feel is the best, and the reason why the mobile Sebastian is better than Facebook. Contrast that with the Violet ability on Facebook. Their ability, instead of debuffing armor, they actually start combat. Sebastian on Facebook will start combat with partial energy already filled up, and I believe at max it's something like 58 or 60% of his energy already full. This doesn't count as bonus energy, so he doesn't get extra foxfire marks from Satori. This is just starting the fight with additional energy. And what that does is, remember, Ode to Serenity is that ultimate ability that will block 15 debuffs from hitting your team. It will remove all debuffs and prevent 15 more from hitting your team. So not only are you starting the fight extremely early and have a stronger ultimate, in my opinion, I think it's pretty objectively a better ultimate than the mobile version. You're starting the fight and you're casting it much quicker than usually the enemy Lars and Krista, usually the enemy Satori. Usually the enemy can get any debuffs on your team. That's a lot of time to be blocking 15 separate debuffs. That's a lot of time. It's a lot of time. So in my opinion, and this might just be my bias as a Facebook player, in my opinion, Sebastian on Facebook is a better overall hero in most situations. And it takes Sebastian from being a hero that you plug into critical hit teams like the Kira Blender team or the Daredevil team or Artemis teams, any team that relies on critical hit damage. It takes Sebastian from being just an opportunistic support hero in those teams to being a hero that you can plug into any team. In fact, a lot of high-end Facebook players will plug in Sebastian to every single one of their teams whenever they're going up against the Twins, because with Sebastian in place, they cannot get any more. They can't get any watermarks to stick on your team throughout the first 15 attempts that they try to apply watermarks, and that's usually enough for your team to prevail. And whenever I say sticking Sebastian in any team, I'm talking about sticking Sebastian in Kark teams without Jet, into Dorian Orion Helios teams, again without Jet, just plugging him in anywhere. Protect your team. Not only does it protect your team against watermarks, but it protects you against curses and stuns. It protects you against foxfire marks from Satori. It protects you against just about every debuff in the game on Facebook. And I just feel like Sebastian is one of those heroes that is a must-have on Facebook, where on mobile, it's just a hero that you want to level up if you're leveling up a critical hit or a physical attacking team. Now, obviously, one of your three teams in cross-server wars or guild wars or Grand Arena should be a critical hit team. One of them should be, just from the nature of the fact that critical hit got such an increase in output with Daredevil and all of that not too long ago. Not a bad team to have built up. But I want to just for a minute or two talk a little bit about Herowarsmobile versus Herowars Facebook holistically, taking Sebastian completely out of it. And the fact of the matter is we're seeing every month, we're seeing things added to Facebook that are never going to be added to mobile. And we're seeing things added to mobile that are never going to be added to Facebook. And what we have two different developers. It's the same studio, but we have two different developers, two different teams running the two versions of the game, Facebook and web versus mobile. Okay? And there are some ups and downs to both things. If you ask a lot of Facebook players, they hate the fact that pets were added, that Titans have skins and artifacts to level up. Those are fun things added to the game. Extra content, sure. Ways to customize your team a little bit more, absolutely. But what they also are giant time and money sinks, right? There's almost no end to the game on Facebook. But on mobile, technically you could finish leveling up all of your heroes and leveling up all your Titans and end the game. You absolutely could. But it's just so much harder on Facebook than it is on mobile. And I feel like mobile is a higher tier, a higher skill ceiling for strategy and thought-provoking theory crafting for how to beat this team or that team. I think that there's a lot more strategy built into those. Whereas on Facebook, I think the numbers and stats are a little inflated, and it's causing a more defensive outlook on teams. Like, teams have higher armor and higher health, higher magic defense on Facebook than they do on mobile, and it's a lot easier to stay alive a lot longer. So, speedy attack teams work better on mobile than they will on Facebook. That's all I'm trying to say. Quick reminder that I do live stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That is including tomorrow. I'm looking forward to live streaming for the first time. We're going to talk a lot about giveaways and what we can do as a community to better it using these giveaways. And probably one or two more videos talking about the differences between mobile and Facebook coming out this week. Of course, we've got Orion being the hero of the event hero on mobile in the next couple of hours. So check out that Orion tier list video. I'll have that linked here at the end. But I love you all. Good luck in Dominion.